Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely fundamental. If you look around, you'll probably notice a pretty startling pattern. Most people are literally just spending their entire lives in a passive state. They're on standby. They know they've got potential, they know who they could become, but they're stuck in this perpetual state of delay. So let's break down the anatomy of this discipline gap.
First up, they're waiting for motivation. You know the drill. Waking up, checking your internal temperature and deciding, well, the spark just isn't there today, so the work isn't going to happen. It's a remarkably comfortable trap, right? Waiting for that perfect feeling to strike before actually doing anything. Sure, it feels safe, but it's completely paralyzing.
Next, they're waiting for confidence. They tell themselves, I'll do it when I finally feel ready. I'll make the leap when that imposter syndrome finally goes away. But honestly, they are totally trapped by this illusion. This idea that total readiness is some mandatory prerequisite for action. They think confidence comes before the work. Actually, scratch that. Reality dictates it's the complete opposite. And ultimately, they're waiting for the perfect opportunity. Waiting for someone to just discover them, or for the stars to perfectly align. But this endless, passive waiting, that is exactly why most people never become anything extraordinary. The absolute truth is that greatness does not begin when you feel ready. It begins when you decide. It starts the exact second you stop negotiating with your potential and start demanding more from yourself.
Which brings us to radical responsibility. The safety net is gone. Listen, there is a harsh but ultimately liberating truth bomb here. You've got to stop asking life for permission because nobody is coming. Nobody is going to wake up for you when that alarm goes off. Nobody's going to train for you or fight your battles or build your future. That whole shebang, it belongs entirely to you.
There is a massive mindset shift that has to happen right here. When you just wait for circumstances to favor you, you're basically playing the victim of circumstances. You're at the mercy of the weather, so to speak. But realizing that nobody is coming shouldn't scare you. It should literally set you free. The second you accept that your future is in your own hands, you become the architect of your life. You're equipped to build your own reality, totally regardless of what's going on outside.
Now, taking that responsibility means we have to face the illusion of motivation. We really need to systematically dismantle this myth that success just happens without any grueling, invisible work. The core problem we run into here is a massive disconnect between what we desire and what reality actually demands from us.
There's a stark contrast between expectation and reality. On one hand, we've got these soft, dreamy ideals. People want the crown. They want this shining success. They want to be exceptional, but they kind of want to live comfortably, just like everyone else. But on the other side, that's the grounded, firm reality of what life actually requires. The process, the preparation, the sacrifice. You simply cannot reach the reward without scaling that massive mountain of hard work. Every new level of greatness demands a version of you that doesn't exist yet, and you have to earn it.
So, we need to redefine a word we throw around all the time: success. Success is an identity. It's the result of thousands of invisible decisions that literally nobody sees. It's not a sudden event or a finish line you suddenly cross. You earn it when nobody is watching. It's the decision to keep going when you're tired or distracted or when progress feels painfully slow. Those tiny, unglamorous moments, they look totally insignificant, but they are exactly where your future is being built.
And this transformation happens through a cascading domino effect. It's pretty incredible, actually. Step 1, you trust yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, like doing the hard thing when you really don't want to, you build self-respect. Once you trust yourself, we hit step 2. Your standards rise. You simply tolerate less mediocrity. Step 3, because your standards are higher, your actions change. And finally, step 4, when your daily actions change, your entire life transforms.
But how do you actually fuel this domino effect? Well, not with motivation. Feelings change daily. Some days you feel absolutely unstoppable, and other days, completely broken. You just can't trust them as a foundation. Discipline, however, doesn't care about your mood. Discipline shows up anyway. It acts completely regardless of emotion, because it understands that feelings are temporary, but habits become destiny. When your actions are no longer controlled by how you feel, your future becomes predictable, and you become incredibly dangerous to your old limitations.
Implementing that discipline brings us to the price of greatness. It's time for a harsh reality check about courage and pain. Once you commit to discipline, you are going to encounter some severe discomfort. The strongest people in the world aren't necessarily the most talented, not at all. They simply refuse to let doubt and fear make the decisions for them.
People fundamentally misunderstand courage. They think it means the complete absence of fear.
But true courage? Courage is moving forward while fear is literally screaming in your ear. It's taking the step before you have total certainty. We've got to completely shatter this myth that you need proof before you act. Certainty comes after action, never before it.
Listen, everything you want, the strength, the confidence, the resilience, it all lives on the other side of discomfort. Discomfort is simply the guaranteed price of admission for growth. So the question isn't really whether you're going to suffer, it's what you will suffer for. Will you suffer from discipline to build your future, or will you suffer from regret, just watching time run out as opportunities pass you by? It's pretty stark. One builds you and the other destroys you.
There are absolutely going to be days when nothing goes according to plan. Days when you're completely exhausted and you're wondering if it's all worth it. I mean, anyone can move forward when life is comfortable, right? But the real test is this. Who are you when quitting would be easy? Who are you when nobody sees your effort and your progress is completely invisible? That right there is where character is truly forged.
And that ultimately leads us to the final hurdle, the ultimate inner battle, you versus you. If you stay in the fight long enough, you eventually stop chasing external motivation and validation. Why? Because you realize the greatest competition was never outside of you. It's always been this quiet battle between your desire for comfort and your absolute need for growth, between making excuses and taking radical responsibility.
When we look at what actually builds a life, the breakdown is, well, it's a bit of a wake-up call. Only about 1% is what you say you want, your dreams, your intentions, your words. The other 99%? It's what you repeatedly do. Your life is built almost entirely by your actions, not your intentions. Every single day this battle begins again, and you have to decide who wins. Not with your words, but with your actions.
Because one day, you're going to look back and realize that the life you wanted was built in those silent, unseen moments. The world will look at the tip of the iceberg and call it success or luck. But you will know the real truth. The truth was discipline. It was sacrifice, unwavering belief, and consistency. It was the simple, exhausting decision to just keep moving forward long after everyone else packed it in and stopped.
There is an incredibly powerful idea here. The future you want is not waiting for another version of you. It is waiting for the decisions you make today. You've got to stop negotiating with your potential. Focus, keep your word to yourself, and do the work regardless of how incredibly slow the progress feels right now. The power is literally entirely in your hands.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative question. Will you let your ordinary life remain ordinary, or will you decide today to make it extraordinary? That choice, repeated enough times, transforms the whole world around you. Don't wait for the motivation, just decide.